We're on.
Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, regular Township Council meeting of August 19th, 2014.
Adequate notice of the meeting has been provided in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Law by filing the notice in the office of the Township Clerk and by posting the meeting notice on the bulletin board at the Municipal Building on December 18, 2013, where it has remained posted since that date. A legal notice appeared in both the Daily Record on December 20, 2013, and the Star Ledger on December 23, 2013, and was forwarded by fax to other local newspapers and local radio stations on December 18, 2013. Note, council meetings are videotaped and aired on Cablevision Public Access 21 at 12 o'clock p.m. on Sundays and are also available for viewing at www.parsippany.net. Thank you.
Okay, please rise for flag salute.
Paluso, if you would.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Figure out what's making noise.
Mr. DePiero.
Here.
Mr. Paluso.
present.
Mr. Stanton.
Here.
Mr. Valori.
Here.
Council President Karifi.
Here. Also present, Mayor Barberio, Ellen M. Sandman, Business Administrator, Paula Cosarelli, Assistant Business Administrator, John Inglesino, Esquire, Township Attorney, and Yancey Wazermis, Township Clerk. Upcoming meetings, September 9th, 2014, 7:30 p.m. Agenda meeting. September 23rd, 2014 at 7:30 p.m. Regular meeting. Presentations, Mayor?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here today to present a proclamation to Bria Saunders from Parsippany High School for setting all these track records, and I think it's the flapjack pancake breakfasts that does it. But what's really nice for me is over the course of years, you get to watch these little kids, you're not little anymore, grow up and you know, become something. And I'm honored that I'm here today to be able to read this proclamation. And I can tell you, during the whole Parsippany High School, when you guys were in the tournaments, that's when I really started using Twitter. And a lot of you guys contacted me, let me know what was going on. And when I heard that you won the states, it was really something for me, very nice inside. It was my warm feeling to watch you from this age and grow up, and now you're faster than your father. So, and I think you're a Giant fan too. He's an Eagle fan. But that's beside the point. I'm going to read the proclamation. Would you like to come up, Bria? Is this your teammate? Oh, your coach. Oh, my God. Well, that's a compliment, then. The Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills proclamation, whereas Bria Saunders, who graduated from Parsippany High School, is a renowned track sprinter in the state of New Jersey, and whereas through hard work and dedication, Bria Saunders has an undefeated season in spring of 2014 in the 200-meter dash and earned the all-state, all-daily record, all-group, and all-Morris County first-team honors. And whereas throughout her high school track career, Bria Saunders excelled at every level, whereas she was a three-time 100-meter dash and 200-meter dash champion, three-time 100-meter dash and 200-meter dash Morris County champion, three-time 55-meter dash state sectional champion, three-time 400-meter dash state sectional champion, four-time 100-meter dash and 200-meter dash state sectional champion, three-time 100-meter dash and 200-meter dash Group 2 state champion, and a 2014 200-meter dash state champion. And whereas Bria Saunders is the Parsippany High School record holder in the 55-meter dash with a time of 7.21 seconds, 100-meter dash with a time of 11.75 seconds, and the 200-meter dash with a time of 24.5 seconds. She is a member of the 4x100, 4x200, 4x400 sprint medley relay and distance medley relay record team. And whereas during her 4 years at Parsippany High School, Bria was selected as the Star Ledger Track Athlete of the Week and recognized twice as the Morris County Sprinter of the Year. Bria Saunders helped her team win the NJAC Small School Division titles, consecutive Morris County Relay Small School Division titles, and consecutive Morris County Small School Division titles. Now therefore, I, James R. Barberio, the Mayor of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, am justly proud to honor Bria Saunders upon the occasion of her numerous outstanding achievements in track and field, and do hereby thank her for representing Parsippany with the highest ideals. I further extend congratulations and best wishes for as much success at Rutgers University as a member of the Scarlet Knights Women Track and Field Team and in all future endeavors, dated this 19th day of August. There you go, Bria. You come up to him. Oh, sorry. No, you gotta come.
Yeah.
I hand you off the last baton. And then I ran 10 meters and I just dropped, so congratulations.
Maria? Maria? Yes. Congratulations.
Okay.
Congratulations. I didn't even see her sit down. She got there so quick. Excellent.
Before we get on with the meeting, I don't know if you guys want to stay or.
That's what we do.
This is what we want to see how fast you are now.
Take care. Take care.
Okay, bids to be taken. September 3rd, 2014 at 10 a.m. Seal proposals for the FEMA House Elevation Project Phase 4. September 3rd, 2014 at 11 a.m. Seal proposals for the FEMA House Elevation Project Phase 5. September 4th, 2014, 11 a.m. Seal proposals for the modular block retaining wall construction, Eldridge Road. Request for quotations, proposals, qualifications, none. Ordinances for second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 2014, number 20. Mr. DePiero?
Ordinance number 2014:20. An ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, changing the name of a certain private roadway located in Oak Lake Plaza condominium from Interpark Drive to IMS Drive. Notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on July 20th, 2014. Motion to accept the ordinance.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Before I vote, I'm going to say that I have some concerns that there's a proposal for apartments on the same street, and there's also a pad for a second office building. So I vote no.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
No.
So it fails, correct? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 3 no's. I should pay attention.
It's a 3-2 vote.
Did you vote no?
3-2, yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's what, well, I'll save that for another day.
Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion to open up a public hearing on this ordinance only.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So this one cares.
There's no sign-in sheet, yes. I'll do it later. Jonathan Nelson, 202 Patriots Road. It's really hard to read the ordinance, but if you approve this is just wrong on several different levels. What you're doing, if by approving this, is saying that Parsippany is for sale. No time in this town's history have we ever changed the name of a street, whether it be private or public, for a tenant. And what happens when this tenant moves out? Because they're not going to be here forever. Even if they're here for 20 years, what's going to happen? We're going to have to go back and change the name again. That's issue one. Issue two, for a commercial tenant, we're having the township attorney is forced to write an ordinance, I would assume at the cost of the township and not of the landlord or the tenant. Another issue is, within the ordinance, it is hard to read, but it states that there's 2 office buildings there. There's only 1 office building there. I'm not going to get into what Mr. Palusa said, that really has nothing to do with it, but there's only 1 office building there. And, you know, the ordinance says to minimize confusion. There have been many, many companies in this town that have moved within the township. In fact, I forgot the name of the company that we all went to their grand opening that moved from Interpace Parkway to Jefferson Road. We weren't changing Jefferson Road for this one tenant. By approving this ordinance, you're setting a terrible, terrible precedent, and I urge you to really think hard and carefully about changing the name. And even though it's just a name, it's for a corporate tenant. The only other street in this town that I can think of, I'm sure there are others, but the only street I can think of that's named for a corporate tenant is Hilton Court. And that was approved originally at the original site plan approval. And Hilton owns the property, and at the time that was the only building on that street. I think there's another office building on it now. But I would think real long and hard about approving this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See no one else come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing?
Mr. President, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a major problem hearing Mr. DePiro reading that ordinance off, and I was having a very difficult time also hearing with Mr. I believe that must have been Mr. Nelson in the background, now realizing it was the street ordinance. So you might be hearing me fine, but unless you speak directly into that mic, I did not hear the whole entire conversation or the ordinance of what Mr. DePiro is reading off, and only partial of what Mr. Nelson was obviously stating. That's when I picked up that it was the street altogether.
Okay.
Okay.
I had a question about the thing Mr. Nelson said about there being 1 building there and the ordinance stating 2.
I don't know what it's.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing for this ordinance,
I'll make a
ordinance only.
motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second,
seconded by Mr. DePiro. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go ahead.
whereas the above ordinance was
No,
read.
wait, hold
No,
on.
I had a
His
question. I wanted to
about-
find out what
Yeah, I don't know whether there's 1 or 2. It's not a material part of the ordinance. So it doesn't impact the ordinance.
Okay.
My understanding, when we considered this, was that there's no other business or home or address there that has to change their deed and their title and everything else. You know, there's no one else that was affected by this change,
And no strain to the post office.
and no strain to the post office, so I didn't see any problem in doing this.
I'm sorry, can everyone please speak into the microphone?
I can't get any closer, this microphone only goes this far. We need longer microphones then.
If
I'll
I'm
speak up.
still having major problems with hearing Mr. DePiro, and I'll be quite frank, I'm not comfortable with my vote because of the fact that I did not hear it clearly, and moving forward, I can still hear you. So I don't know how you want to handle this.
Just need everybody to speak.
Okay,
into the-
speak up.
Yeah.
This up. We're going to try to have everyone speak up. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you
Okay.
clearly, and I heard Yancy, but Mr. DePiro, on that initial reading of the ordinance, I did not pick up the entire ordinance itself until I heard Mr. Nelson discussing what he was concerned about.
Okay.
And I'm not happy with what was read, nor my vote. I should have held up that vote before I made that decision, because I truly did not hear it clearly, and my vote would have been no on that. So I don't know if that's going to change anything, but if we're going to move forward
Well,
on these other
we still have-
ordinances and resolutions, I want to make sure that I'm hearing it clearly, because it's not going to be fair to you, my colleagues, and to the public.
All right. After each one is read, I will check with you to see if you've heard it clearly.
Okay, I just
Before
want
we
you to know
move
the
on.
record, obviously, I casted my vote. I did not hear it clearly.
Well, you still get the vote again. We haven't done the final vote.
Okay, so, all right, that's fine.
Okay.
Just please read it off.
Okay.
We still have to work on our system there. I'm glad that you could hear me, but not real clear on my end here.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike, whenever you're ready.
Lee, can you hear me? Okay, as long as Lee can hear me. Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and the hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading, and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton.
Before you vote, can I intervene and have our BA comment on it, Council President?
Go ahead.
In conversation with our tax, in conversation with our tax assessor, Lou, can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's really poor, the quality.
In conversation with our tax assessor, he advised that he was very pleased that the council would review the naming of the streets, be they private or public, because of the concern of the naming of streets and certain names that would be acceptable to this community. So in light of the other two issues, which don't appear to be issues, that is that the post office didn't seem to have an issue, and Councilman DePiero had said that there were no address changes that would be moved by this. And again, if Parsippany is a business-friendly community, you know, I thought that the naming of it was that a comment? I don't know if my time is up or did I not answer the question? Anyway, that being said, the fact that, you know, we are a business community, a friendly business community,
Council President?
I thought it was appropriate to, you know, have the council be part of this conversation and approval. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Valori.
Council President?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Valori.
Mr. Valori, can you hear us? Hello? Mr. Valori?
Council President, I don't know if you're picking up on me at all. But
Yes,
I
can you hear
cannot
me?
hear any type of audio from obviously your council meeting right now.
Mr. Valori, can you hear me?
I will try to pull back, and maybe we'll try to get a better connection.
Hello?
He says he's going to call back.
He's going to
I'll
hang
call
up
you
and call
back.
back.
This isn't working.
Why don't we just do the calling in?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but I heard nothing earlier, just small bits of what Mrs. Sandman was saying in regards to the postal, and then beyond that, it just went blank on me here.
Shall I try it again? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now I can hear you.
What I was saying is that I had a conversation with our tax assessor, and he was pleased that the council would take part in naming the streets, be they private or public. And that is because of the nature of someone on a private street perhaps naming a street that would be inappropriate for this community. The second thing that I wanted to add, as a business-friendly community, this is a company, they're asking for this consideration. I think it's a positive thing. And then the third thing was the postal issue is not an issue. It doesn't seem to affect anybody that they would have to change their addresses, and that was brought up by Councilman DePiero. So in light of that, you know, I would think you'd want to, you know, consider it. But we would like to start the precedent that you do take a look of reviewing street names, be they on private or public, because that's how the I'll defer to council, but I believe that's how the ordinance is written. Correct, John?
Yes.
Yeah. That's all I have,
Okay,
Lou.
thank you for your input. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
No.
Mr. Stanton?
No.
Mr. Valori? Mr. Valori? Mr. Valori? We lost him again.
I'm not sure if we're still having glitches in the equipment there, but I do not hear anything.
Okay,
Mr. Valori? Hello?
Yeah, I could barely hear you.
Hello?
Just get his vote.
Can you hear us?
we need your vote.
Just barely. I could barely hear you. I'm sure you can hear me fine.
Yeah,
There's something definitely wrong with the
Tell him we
system
need his
there.
vote, yes or no?
Yes or
We're-
no?
Can you hear that we're doing a roll call vote for the naming of the streets?
Okay, if you could just speak up loud, I could hear you just from a 1 to 10 like a 2 right now. So if you want to go through it.
Okay. We're doing the roll call for the street naming ordinance, and we're on you right now for your vote.
Okay, you came up very amplified now.
I
and-
came closer.
Okay, great. On that change of street address, I was still going to stick with what I wanted to discuss earlier. That would be a no on that.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Karifi?
No. Okay, ordinance 2014:21.
Should I explain to Mr. Valori the vote failed? Mr. Valori, just for your information, the vote on that was 4 no, 1 yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I appreciate everybody being patient with me on conference. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Ordinance number 2014:21. An ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acquisition of property commonly known as 19 Littleton Road and shown as Lot 5 in Block 454 on the official tax map of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. The notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on July 18, 2014. Motion to accept that ordinance 2014:21 to be heard in its second and final reading by title only. Look for second.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Paluso, seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Paluso. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, be given 3 minutes on this ordinance only.
Pat Patacha, 182 Hawkins Avenue. I just want to know, was an appraisal done yet as of this date? Was an appraisal done?
Paul, was an appraisal done?
Yes, an appraisal was done.
Can I get an amount that it was appraised for?
That right now is part of, and John, if you can confirm, that's
answer is
part of
no.
our, yeah, no. Thank you.
Thank you.
See no one else come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded by Mr. Paluso. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Motion to close the public hearing for ordinance 2014:21. That's closed. Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon. Now therefore be it resolved that the said ordinance be passed on final reading and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Paluso, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Ordinance 2014:22, Mr. Stanton.
An ordinance of the Township Council, Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 290, Recreation Township, Parsippany-Troy Hills. Notice for the ordinance above was published in Daily Record, the official newspaper, Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, July 18, 2014.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This time entertain a motion to open up the public hearing on this ordinance and this ordinance only.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
I'm not sure if I'm disconnected
Aye.
again. I have no audio here.
Opposed?
We can hear you, Mr. Valori.
Okay, see no one come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading, here and held thereon, now therefore be it resolved, said ordinance be passed on final reading, that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in newspaper according to law.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Ordinance number 2014:23, Mr. DePiero.
Ordinance number 2014:23, an ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for a golf course and recreation utility equipment for the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills and appropriating $65,000 therefore, and providing for the issuance of $61,750 in general improvement bonds or notes of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to finance the same. Notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills on July 18th, 2014. Motion to accept that ordinance.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This time entertain a motion to open up the public hearing. Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you'll be given 3 minutes for this ordinance only.
Let's wait for somebody to
Just
get up.
before you start, Pat, Mr. Valori, can you hear where we're at right now? We're doing the public hearing for ordinance number 23.
And I heard Mr. DePiero was breaking up in and out. What was that ordinance covering again?
This is the bond ordinance for the golf utility.
Okay, is that for the vehicles?
No.
For the golf.
For the
No, the
golf. The equipment for the golf utility.
Oh, okay, the equipment for it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, and there's something going on with his mic because it's so faded out. So I appreciate you confirming it with me. Thank you.
We're starting the public portion right now.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Pat Petaccio, 182 Hawkins Avenue. I'd just like to know, who's this being charged to?
The Knoll Golf Utility.
Thank you.
This time, see no one else come forward, entertain a motion to close the public portion on this ordinance.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and the hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading, and that a notice of final passage for said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the resolution.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Before I vote, I just want to indicate that I'm not happy with the financials on the Knoll right now. We also waived $131,000 in a water utility bill in 2012, and it needs to stand on its own financially. I vote no.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
No.
Mr. Karifi.
No.
It was a 3-2 vote, 3 no, 2 yes vote, Mr. Valori.
Okay, thank you.
Ordinance number 2014:24, an ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for the various sewer utility improvements for the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills and the appropriating $3,152,653, therefore, and providing for the issuance of $1,152,653 in general improvement bonds or notes of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to finance the same. The notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, on July 18, 2014. Motion to accept that ordinance, 2014:24, be heard in its second and final reading by title only. Second?
Motion made by Mr. Paluso,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Stanton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This time entertain a motion to open up the public hearing on this ordinance.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Paluso. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See no one come forward. Entertain a motion to close the public portion.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Paluso. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go ahead.
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon. Now therefore be resolved that the said ordinance be passed on final reading and that a notice of the final passage of said ordinance be published in a newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Paluso, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Mr. Stanton?
Ordinance number 2014:25, ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for various water utility improvements for Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, appropriating $880,000, therefore providing for the issuance of zero and general improvements bonds or notes of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to finance the same. Notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, July 18, 2014.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This time entertain a motion to open up the public hearing on this ordinance only.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Paluso. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See no one come forward, entertain a motion to close the public portion for this ordinance only.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Paluso. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be resolved said ordinance be passed on final reading, that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Ordinance 2014-26. Mr. DePiero?
I'm sorry, could you say that a little louder?
26.
20.
Ordinance number 2014:26. Mr. DePiero.
An ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for various capital improvements for the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills and appropriating $225,000 therefore, and providing for the issuance of $0 in general improvement bonds or notes of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to finance the same. The notice for the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills on July 18th, 2014. Motion to accept the ordinance.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Stanton. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? This time entertain a motion to open up the public hearing on this ordinance only.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr.
Second.
DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See no one come forward, entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. All in favor?
Aye. Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading and a hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved that said ordinance be passed on final reading, and that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in a newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori? Mr. Valori?
Uh-oh.
Mr. Valori? Mr.
For
Valori?
some reason, we're disconnected again, but I would vote yes.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Mr. Stanton.
Ordinance 2014:27, ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills in the County of Morris, New Jersey, providing for various capital improvements for the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, appropriating $7,840,000 therefore, providing for the issuance of $7,273,000 general improvement bonds or notes of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills to finance the same. Notice of the ordinance above was published in the Daily Record, the official newspaper of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, July 18, 2014.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Okay, let's do a roll call on that, please.
Just to make sure he can hear us. Mr. Valori, can you hear us?
Yes, just with Mr. DePiero earlier, my vote would have been yes, but
Yeah.
he has a very bad connection, so when he's reading it, he's going to need to go to another mic because I'm not picking up, I'm only picking up on fragments.
Okay. Mr. Stanton just read the title to ordinance 2014:27. We're just going to, they just did a motion to accept that ordinance be heard in its second and final hearing. We're going to do a roll call vote for that and then go into the public hearing.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, so we're doing the roll call vote right now just for the first part.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
No.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. At this time, entertain a motion to open up the public hearing on this ordinance only.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? See no one come forward, entertain a motion to close the public portion on this ordinance.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Whereas the above ordinance was read in title on second reading, hearing held thereon, now therefore be it resolved said ordinance be passed on the final reading, that a notice of final passage of said ordinance be published in the newspaper according to law.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Before I vote, I wanted to give some reasonings for my vote. I believe in paying as you go. There's items in here that could be paid for immediately, like lawnmowers. There are small dollar amounts. By bonding for smaller dollar amounts, it's going to cost us dearly in the long run. I have to vote no.
Can I please respond to the comment, Council President?
Good.
Well, these lawnmowers are a little bit different than the ones you buy at Sears and stuff like that. But if you don't have if you don't get a 4-to-1 vote, then what do? You don't pave Pittman Road, Madison Road, Longport Road, Allentown Road, Bridgeton Road. You don't do all the Mount Tabor section. You know, we had a pretty difficult winter. A lot of people believe in pay as you go, but when you have big projects like this, which are included in this bond, you're also voting no on those projects as well. They don't happen. They don't get done. So therefore, if you don't do it and you don't pass the bond, then what do? You pay as you go. You spend $7.8 million in 1 year, which calculates about 10% increase in taxes, which makes instability. Not only does it make instability, it tells your bond market and it tells your bond rating agencies, wait a minute, Parsippany's not stable. Listen, this is a very important ordinance. Although lawnmowers are in there, there's a lot of good things that are in there that need to get done.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to respond to that. I do believe in paving the roads. I believe in a lot of things that are in this bond ordinance, but the bond ordinance needs to be reworked. We need to pay for certain items up front that are not going to cost us in the long run. We need to break those items out and resubmit it.
But when you vote no on it, basically you're voting on all those other things as well.
Okay,
You don't get the cake and eat it too.
Well, if it was presented properly the first
It was
place.
presented
Okay,
properly.
all right.
It was definitely presented properly.
Go ahead. Continue, please.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Okay.
Can I explain?
Sure.
Motion passed, 4 yes, 1 0.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
1 no. I'm writing 0.
Lou wants to go back swimming.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
writing zeros.
This time, entertain a motion to open up the public hearing.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, at this time, you'll be given 5 minutes.
Mr. Stanton, we're beginning the main public hearing.
I'm right here, thanks.
I'm sorry. I think I'm going back and forth too much. Mr. Valori, we're beginning the general public hearing right now.
Thank you. You all been great. I appreciate this. Thanks.
Not easy.
I wrote down Stanton, that's why.
Yeah, there is feedback.
Now it's gone.
It's gone now.
Definitely is feedback.
Mary Przicki, 273 Marcella Road. As probably all of you are aware of, the state of New Jersey will be in build-out, and I believe the year 2025 will be the first state in the United States to have a build-out problem. And I know Parsippany has always taken an active role when it comes to open space. But on the same token, there's a lot of development that goes on in Parsippany. And I think it's time to really look at what is left in Parsippany to save before we are built out, okay? And I think that's an important issue, because every time there's a development or there's redevelopment or building or townhouses, whatever, you tell me that the rateable is good for my taxes. I'm here for 44 years, and in 44 years I watched a lot of buildings being developed and this town being developed, and never once in those 44 years did I ever see my taxes go down because a rateable came in. I mean, I appreciate the fact that we do have open spaces in Parsippany, and we have open space that's left in Parsippany. And the trees don't cost me any money. I benefit more by them and that open space than I do by development. So I think the council and the boards that are in Parsippany should really take a good, hard look at what is left and what can be saved. And I mean, in this coming November, I know that there is a question on the ballot where they would fund the Open Space Trust Fund in the state of New Jersey by shifting some taxes from corporate taxes that pay into it already. And you would just restructure it. Wouldn't cost the taxpayer anything. It would stop the bonding that's been done, and it would give a permanent solution to the Open Space Trust Fund in the state of New Jersey. And I kind of hope that Parsippany would encourage people to come out and vote for it. So that's my spiel for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Council President. Am I speaking close enough to the mic?
Yes.
As you know, last week I spoke.
State your name and address for
Oh,
the record.
Nancy D'Eduardo, 64 Pinfold Court. As you know, last week I spoke briefly about Alpha Dog, and I guess you're thinking about insourcing that function into the township as part of staff. I really didn't mean for this to be a cause du jour. I have other things I'm fighting for within my development. But given the discourse last week, I just wanted to bring a couple of points up. I wanted to know if anybody on the dais has done a business case study analyzing the cost-benefit ratio for insourcing the function versus leaving it outsourced.
No, I haven't. I'm satisfied with what we have and what it does for the township.
Okay. Anybody? Because what I'd like to know before any function is insourced, obviously, is that we do a well thought out a business case study, and we have scenario A, where you have something that's currently outsourced and working, versus scenario B, where you want to bring something in-house and have someone apparently either on staff do this function. I took the opportunity to discuss the insourcing of the website, from the vendor to a headcount within the township with our my own personal company's chief technology officer, our HR IT rep, as well as an external IT recruiter that we use to fill positions. And anytime you insource an IT end-to-end process, it will usually end up as an add to headcount. And that applies to most, if not all, end-to-end processes that you would insource into a company. From what I understand from the brief budget I've looked at, you currently have 1.5 IT headcount supporting 400 township employees. That's pretty understaffed. I mean, if you look at industry benchmarks, you typically have, one IT professional supporting maybe 40 to 60 staff. So that's a bit tight right there if you were expecting that person to handle that function. It's my professional and business opinion that that's not going to work. Using the fact that the township has a lot of big salaries, I mean, I get it. I mean, nobody wants to pay high taxes. I live in a townhouse and I pay close to 10 grand a year, which is a lot for something where I can't even really do anything to my yard. I'm basically just paying to have that plot of land. You guys are reaping the benefit of my tax dollars. But to me, I'd like to see some value in return. In my opinion, the insourcing will most certainly result in an add to headcount, as it's not clearly apparent that the township has a web content development expert currently on staff. I took the opportunity to kind of craft a brief job description because this is what I do.
For some reason, we must be cut off again because I do not hear anything.
Do you want me to finish, or?
We can hear you, Mr. Valori.
A brief job description and requirements for a basic web content manager, and this is just a basic entry level. Manages all web content and projects related to the website, writes, edits, and proofreads the new content, ensures all documents meet established content standards, and works alongside developers to assess any technical challenges in displaying that content. Educational requirements, a bachelor's degree in technology specializing in web content development, at least 7 years experience in web content development and programming coding, extensive familiarity with a variety of web content development concepts, practices, and procedures, relies on extensive experience and judgment to plan and accomplish goals, typically reports to top-level management, leads and directs the work of others. So in speaking to our HR professionals and our recruiter, the median average salary for a web content developer is $87,000 a year, with a low end of the range at $67,000. That's a nationwide average, and salaries in the Northeast typically run on the high end of the range, and that's typically 25 to 45% higher. A fully loaded headcount cost, so if on the low end you brought somebody in at $67,000, you're talking $107,000 a year. And for the median salary of $87,000, that's $139,000 a year.
30 seconds.
Okay, sorry. That's 1.6 times the base salary, allowing for benefits and other miscellaneous costs. Again, I'll just make another quick point. Insourcing this, you would also be falling short on your business continuity plans and your disaster recovery. You cannot have disaster recovery in the same town that you have your website. That's something that needs to be outsourced, and in order to do that, you have to contract with companies like SunGuard, which are very, very, very cost prohibitive and very expensive. Again, sorry, is that my time?
Yes.
Okay, anyway, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just check on Mr. Valori?
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
Mr. Valori, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. We're still in the public portion. Mr. Nelson's about to start speaking.
Councilman Valori, can you hear me?
Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Jonathan Nelson, 202 Patriots Road. Last year when I was on the council, I voted no on this, and when I spoke about this last week, I voted no on. I spoke against this. Never did I ever suggest that we should insource the website development. I totally think we should outsource it. The question is not who does it, what company does it. It's what the website is. Alpha Dog's website is proprietary. That means we are stuck with them. We can't go to anybody else. There is going to come a day that we're not going to use Alpha Dog, and it's going to be painful because we're going to have to hire a new designer, an outside firm, and it's going to have to be all built from scratch. Now, whether it's done this year or done next year, it's going to happen. What I was suggesting is, and my problem, it's not a gripe with Alpha Dog. I understand what he does. The problem is that he is closed source, and what he gives you is what you get. Is very, very little customization. And I can say for a fact, for the last 3 years, almost nothing has changed on that website. And to Mr. Meeham's acknowledgement last week, his site is already obsolete, and he's working on it. So if you're gonna vote for it, you're gonna vote for it. But you got to look at other web design companies that use open source systems. So when you do want to go to another company, you take your website with you. Way it is with AlphaDog, when you leave, whether it's this year, next year, or whenever, that website's going to stay with him. You want an open source system. It has nothing to do with insourcing it. I totally agree with what Nancy says. It's not something that should be done, but it should be outsourced, and it can be done for a fraction of the price.
I'd like to comment on that, if I may.
Good.
AlphaDog has done an exceptional job for the township, Jonathan, and I think you could agree to that. The fact is that he does have a template, and that's why we get the. You keep saying it's going to be less, but I don't think it would be less. It's less because he has a template. He has one of his own kind. It's made for municipalities. You made a comment last week about a marriage. We have a good marriage. They don't fight with you. These web companies. No, let me finish. They don't fight with you. Whatever content you want on there, they're going to put it on. They're not here to do battle with the township. That's not what they're here to do.
Can I respond? Like I said, my gripe is not with AlphaDog and what they provide. Actually, he's got a very good business model, but he's very, very expensive for what you're getting. Because I was actually surprised when he said with the tickets, and when he said the term tickets, I assume that's when whoever the employee is sends an update to him. He said that there was about 40 to 45 tickets a month. That's almost 50 times. Every time somebody sends him an update for the calendar or for a press release or for something or for a township event, it really almost comes out to $50 for each ticket that we send him. Now, you're right. What the service he provides is not a problem with what his service is. The problem is the end product. And because it's proprietary and it's his own system, you're stuck with it. Let me put it this way: if he used an open source system and you contracted out with him, I have no problem with that whatsoever. It's not the service he provides; it's the framework that he provides it with, and that's the argument I was making last year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Valori, you still there?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Katasha is about to speak.
Okay, great, thank you.
Parsippany-Troy, 182 Hawkins Avenue. I agree with Jonathan. It was a consideration whether in-house or to just find other people to come in and give presentations. And that's what everybody was looking for, just a competitive flow of things. One other thing on AlphaDog, I went into their website last week and I found this application out there, and it's Why AlphaDog. I'll hand this to you, Paul. You can make copies. I'd like this back. I just want to make sure that this is not on our website.
You give it to Yancy. Thank you.
It's a political action, GOT. And I just want to make sure it is not on our website.
This was on the website?
No, not.
Oh.
I can't find it on our website, but that doesn't mean it's not out there. I'd like to be verified that that is not something that we have on our website. Okay? Second thing, I'd like the council to answer this question. Is it true that what I read in the paper about the mayor not signing off on the request for an investigation into Mr. Inglesino, the committee as a whole? Is that true?
I can answer it. It's true.
Okay. Parsippany residents and taxpayers should question why Mayor Barbario is so desperately doing everything he can to keep Mr. Inglesino and using the township conflict attorney, Mr. Lavery, to oust most of our elected officials as being conflicted against Mr. Inglesino. I wish his game playing would stop. You both are putting our community at risk. If our elected officials don't want to renew someone's contract, that is their right. They really don't even need a reason. As it stands now, there is no working relationship between this council and the appointed attorney. I asked the question of how can our municipal government function? It can't. Our elected officials shouldn't be subjected to bullying and intimidation by our mayor. In my opinion, the only way to resolve this issue is to appoint a new township attorney. Ask yourselves why Mayor Barbario is so determined to keep Mr. Inglesino. He has exceeded his budget amounts, if I'm not mistaken, the last 3 or 4 years. I know it's definitely 3. He has created more lawsuits than I've ever saw in this town. He speaks for the mayor. He treats the public with such disrespect, it's deplorable. He has caused chaos within our administration and council. And now, since this is not being signed, I'm assuming that this is going to cost the taxpayers more money. And we can't afford it, guys. You know, this tit-for-tat thing has to stop.
Well, the only way it costs the taxpayers more money is if I sign that. So that's, it'll talk.
No, it's still going to cost the taxpayers more money either way.
Right now, it doesn't.
Right. But, again, you are strong-arming this council.
How am I strong-arming?
Let her talk, please.
Mayor
I'll let you finish for 5
Barbario.
minutes. I'm gonna answer the question.
No, I don't want an answer to the question.
I'm gonna answer it.
You don't have to, because there was no question
No,
involved.
well, yes, there was, so I'll answer the question.
Now, the question involved was, is that on the website?
That was
That's the only
one
thing I
question.
wanna hear.
You're making allegations, so I'm gonna answer it.
I'm not making allegations.
Okay.
This is all,
5 minutes. I don't want to take you 5
all
minutes.
in here. Go ahead, I'm going to respond back. Stop my time. Excuse me?
Pat, you made comments that it's gonna cost the taxpayers money. Right now, it's not costing the taxpayers a dime.
Right now it's not costing the taxpayers money. But now, you're going to blame it on the council for having to go forward. Okay? This is the game that's being played. This is the game.
No game, Pat.
Yeah, it is a game.
It's no game.
It is a game.
I don't consider it a
And
game.
taxpayers are getting tired of this game. And I love Mr. Inglesino sitting there smirking again. Okay? I, as a taxpayer, have personally
30 seconds.
been attacked and humiliated by both the mayor and Mr. Inglesino. Okay? And I don't appreciate that. And I don't appreciate a council letting people get away with such deplorable actions. I'm tired of this town not going forward. We're stuck here. Yeah, we're going a little bit, but we're not going where we should be. Where we should be out by now. Thank you.
See no one else come forward. This
Council,
time, I'll entertain a motion to,
Council President, just, I just wanted, is this a time where we would talk about the document that was sent out with regard to the Boy Scouts because of the time?
well, I'm going to close, let me close the
Okay,
public
yeah, is that
hearing.
okay? I didn't
Yeah,
know
sure.
when you would want me
Yeah.
to do that.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DePiero. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Is
Go
that-
ahead, Mrs. Salmon.
Okay. At the last meeting, we talked about possibly amending the resolution for those that were given a waiver on some of the fees. And it was also mentioned that the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, right now, especially with regard to the Boy Scouts, that they have a couple of events coming up. And so what I had asked someone to do was to prepare bullets from the letter written by Adam, one of the Boy Scout leaders. And I thought the document spoke very clearly, to that point. So moving forward on two fronts. One, can this evening you give some kind of nod to do some research, but, or further research on it, but to give some permission to the Boy Scouts, and I think there's one or two more events. I know there's someone here from the Boy Scouts that could clearly let you know what you're talking, what we're talking about. Two events, 3 events, that they would like the waiver on the use of the fields or the parks. And then the second thing is, while we're doing this, there, for example, the Women's Theater, that's very much a part of Parsippany, and, they do give back in the sense of culture, and right now, theater and arts are suffering a bit, so I'm not asking for a waiver at this time for them, but for consideration, when you take a look at the resolution, and I would offer to all the council, that are here, and you too, Lou, that, possibly there might be some other people or other groups that should be on this list, that should be considered. So, that's what I have, Council President. I don't know how you want to, deal with that, but, what events are coming up that especially you would be looking for the waiver? And, I don't know if the Council President would entertain him just giving some more input on that.
Sir, if you could just come up to the mic and just tell us those events that you have coming up.
Lou, can you hear? Mr. Valori?
Yes, I can.
Keith Hawkins, 81 Wingate Road. The only definite event that we have coming up that we would really seek approval for immediately, it's coming up in the beginning of the school year. I'm a Boy Scout leader. I recruit from Cub Scouts in the elementary schools. That's the only way that I ever get Scouts coming into my unit. Every year at the beginning of the year, they try to recruit Cub Scouts at the first grade level. And one of the events that we're talking about is actually an archery event to try to get people interested in Cub Scouts to come out for a recruiting night that would involve Cub Scout packs from every school in the town. So that's the main one because it is a time-sensitive.
What is the date of that?
Not sure.
Is it early September, mid-September?
Yes.
Okay.
It would be earlier
Because I
in
know we
September.
have a council meeting, Yancy, when's our next council meeting in September?
September 9th is the agenda.
September 9th. I don't know whether it would be before that, so that the council could make it more of an official
Right.
approval.
Again, I can check the date for you. Again, because it's really not my event, it's Mr.
Right.
Sanzoni or Adams'
Adams,
event.
yeah.
I'm not sure of the exact date, but I can certainly get that for the council.
And again, this is a resolution, so it has, it only needs the one reading. But I turn it back to you, Council President.
I have some comments. Ellen, the resolution, it pertains to waiving the fees for the fields, but does it also waive the requirement for the insurance that would be a liability?
It doesn't waive for the insurance, but I think Keith's going to tell you how the insurance works.
Mr. Caluso, we don't need a waiver for the insurance. We're insured by the
They're
Boy
insured.
Scouts of America.
Yeah.
The Girl Scouts, I'm not too sure on because they are organized a little bit differently than we are. But we get an insurance waiver for using the schools. We need an insurance waiver for our meetings. The national group or the local council here provides those insurance coverages for us.
Yeah, it's a general question for all the
Yes.
nonprofits on the list, not specifically the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts of America. I'm involved with the Patriots Path myself, and I've always supported scouting. So I just wanted to mention that, when you have your insurance certificate, do you name the township as additional insured?
Yes.
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Yes. And all of these should be in that same position, and I know Paula sits on our insurance.
That's a policy. I was a Girl Scout leader for 12 years, and that's a policy with the Girl Scouts as well. You need to apply, they have very strict guidelines whenever a Girl Scout is at an event, that an additional insured certificate is supplied to whoever is providing that service to the Girl Scouts.
Great. But the other nonprofits on the list, though, not specifically the scouting, but the other nonprofits on the list will, when we vote on the resolution, will the verbiage be spelled out regarding the insurance addendum waiver or any such?
Yes, and again,
information?
yes, right now, what I'm referring to is, so I had a point of reference is the resolution that already is established. And from the look of the list, all of these people would be, that would be the criteria. But that's the thing, you could modify going forward the resolution to say, it can't hurt to always clearly delineate that there's insurance coverage, or whatever other criteria you think might be necessary. I think the question on the floor is, not knowing the exact date, we have a meeting on the 9th. I don't know, if Keith could get back to us sooner than later, so,
No, not that.
Yeah.
Go forward. I got a question.
Yeah.
If it's before the 9th, this is our only time to act. Can
I
we put something
understand
in
that,
pla- Can
and
we put
that's-
something in place that if it is before the 9th, we pass a waiver tonight?
yes. I mean, yes, you can do that, but
If we wait and he finds out it's on the 7th,
No, that's, you're picking up what I'm putting down, Brian.
I'd like to make a
That's right,
motion
yeah.
that we put away, if it's before September 9th, that we make a thing for the waiver tonight, just in case.
Oh, okay, then we're in
Okay.
good shape.
Okay, so
Very
we can
good.
hold off then.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, Brian.
Thank you.
Very good. Good point, Brian.
Food for thought, Council President. The Women's Theater, just so you have time to consider it. She pays $1,000 per play to the township. Now, in addition to that, there's playwright costs that she has to pay, and then there's actress costs she has to pay. She pays $1,000 for each play. She puts on 3 performances a year or 4 performances. That's $1,000 each one. When the attendance is poor, okay, she's not making ends meet, and she's in jeopardy of going under. All right, and it primarily it's because of us charging her $1,000. I would hate to see that women's theater go under. They provide a great service to the township. So food for thought is maybe we can look at something like that too. How can we help that theater out? I mean, $1,000 is really kind of, I was surprised when I found out that's what she has to pay for every play she puts on.
Mr. Piro, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Matter of fact, my wife is involved with the board on the Parsippany Women's Theater. I don't want to lose another theater in our town like we lost Allegro years ago. We want to keep the theater and the arts alive in Parsippany, and it is an economic development driver as well. One of the things, you said food for thought, Mr. DePiero, and I agree with that, but to expand upon that, all the nonprofits on that list, if they add to the economic development of our community, we should really consider giving them a waiver. They are bringing
Theater.
people, the theater included.
So that's what I'm asking for, is that we consider adding the women's theater to that
Absolutely, no
I-
doubt.
fee waiver.
I would agree with you. I'd also like to state, in reading this and what was stated last meeting with the amount, and I am familiar, I have attended some of the Eagle Scout promotions and et cetera, for the amount of hours that the Boy Scouts give us and volunteer, I would think that alone saves this town a lot of money. So I would like to see if we can do it. Me personally, my opinion is I would like to see the Boy Scouts included in this, the waiver, because of the amount of hours, which I believe translates into a big savings for the town for the amount of volunteer work that they do for us. And I do agree with you for the Women's Theater as well. I don't want to see that, that become a problem for them with that fee. So I think we need to work on that as well.
Right, and.
So now we're talking basically about Boy Scouts, I assume Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, Brownies, and the Women's Theater.
Inclusive,
Adding to the list.
yes.
Yes.
And again, we
We have
have
to
some
look into
time
it, might
before
be
the
more.
9th to put this together, and if someone on the council or mayor comes up with something else that is viable and something that's important to this community, we should consider it. And we
My
can
opinion, I
distribute
just
the
believe
list.
the amount of hours that they donate, and I mean, you can see some of the pinpoints on here, and I've attended, like I said, these Eagle Scout ceremonies and these promotions, and you hear the amount of hours that these kids volunteer and some of these projects they do in town, and that has to save, I would believe, a large amount of money to the residents of our town. So I would just like to have that considered when this comes up.
Thank you for considering that, very much. We'll put that together. Thank you. Thank you, Keith.
I have a couple of questions since we're open questions. I indicated through the news, I seen that 400 gallons of diesel were spilled into the Rockaway River. and our Parsippany Fire Department, which I thank them for responding so quickly to try and handle the spill. A question just for the mayor and the administration. Is there any fees or bills that we're going to incur from that spill for the Rockaway River, and will those be covered or submitted to the company that created the spill?
That spill, oh, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yeah,
Did you
well,
want
that, first of all, we were on that right away when that spill took place. We contacted Montville at the time. A resident called up and, notified me immediately. And actually, Parsippany wasn't on it at that time, but later on, Parsippany did get on it. Well, I will have, Paula check into the reimbursement if there's any cost to the township, or if there's an insurance cost as well.
Or hazmat area, yes. Thank you.
In something towards the same line there, last week I had inquired about the ambulance, that we may have sent a paid ambulance to this event.
Yeah, I have I gave a
There was a response to that.
response to that. I don't know, I didn't make an extra copy. I handed Rob the copy that I have, so if we could, well, I'll make sure that the whole council gets a copy of that, but, yes, we did address it. This is a joint effort out of the county.
Wouldn't we have sent a volunteer?
We got paid for it.
Oh, we did. We
got
were reimbursed.
400
Oh,
we got-
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We got
Okay.
$450, and then, unfortunately, but fortunately, I guess, I don't know how that should be teed up, but we also did wind up taking somebody to the hospital, so.
okay.
Yeah, no, we got reimbursed
Oh,
for
great.
that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mrs. Sandman. Nice job.
Thank you.
I have one additional question for the administration. Can you tell me the date that the audit was due by Samuel Klein? I believe was June 30th.
Yeah, June 30th is when it's required. We are working diligently on that. We have, they've come out now in mass. I think as many as 4 people now are finishing it. We have some questions that are into our former finance person, and I just actually read an email. He had asked Andy, our auditor, to put it in writing. He has put it in writing, so we should, we should be, that should be accomplished rather quickly. We have been on it as soon as I came in the door, I called them up and said, "Where are you?" So they came, and we should be close.
Is there a reason why it's been delayed?
Again,
Is it Samuel Klein? Is it the township?
No, it's not the township. Let's make that clear. It's definitely not the township. You guys replaced Sammy Klein with somebody else, and, and I guess we've been waiting for them to come in.
As soon as I found that they were not here,
Ellen's been
I made the phone call immediately.
Right.
Rob and I did get a response quickly, and they did come in. They even have one of the named auditor himself is here, working on it. And again, because of the fact that we lost our finance director, in the middle of it, there were some questions, so they're drilling down on them. And as late as today, I saw the listing of about 5 to 8 things that are on that list that Joe needs to address.
Did Samuel Klein indicate any date that it would be completed by?
Well, it depends on getting these answers, so I have a call into Joe.
Okay. If you could just keep us informed.
Oh, absolutely,
Mrs. Sandman, I
absolutely.
appreciate it.
I'm just as concerned, but they are working very, very, very much so. I mean, they're in almost every day now.
Great.
And they're working with our interim fellow too, Pat,
Okay.
doing the best he can. And Ruby has come back and given us a hand too.
Oh, very good.
So.
Okay, thank you.
We've got all hands on deck.
One other thing, I have a question. I had reached out to Addie Cologne from JCP&L in reference to the project. I also had spoken to Mr. Dalsky again, and Mrs. Cologne had stated that JCP&L is going to have some public hearings, hopefully in September or October. And in speaking to Mr. Dalsky, I would like to see, and I don't know if Mayor, if you have anything planned yet or not, if Parsippany, if we could at least host one, if not more. I don't know how many meetings they're looking to have, but at least if we could host one, this way our residents, it would be more convenient for them.
Right.
Just last week, myself, Sorry, I almost called you Jasmine. And Alan and a few other people. We met with Jersey Central Power and Light and Addie Cologne, and they're going to give us some dates, and we'll try to have it in Parsippany.
Great, thank you. Okay, Mr. Stanton?
Okay, before I read the,
Before you start, can I just check on this?
Sure, go ahead.
See you live.
Mr. Valori, did you hear all those conversations? Mr. Valori?
Yes, just like I said earlier, they need to speak up much louder on the mic. It was a little difficult, but I heard them discussing the matters.
Okay, thank you.
okay, before I read the consent agenda, I'd like to have R 2014-132 not actually pulled. I want it separated. I want the resolution for the Rockaway River cabinet to waive the permit fee to stay on. But the one for the Parsippany PAL, I want to have tabled till next meeting. I asked the mayor, I had a few questions I needed answered before, if that's okay.
Okay. Can we pull that, please?
Just
the PAL part.
But the Rockaway River
The
remains.
Rockaway stays on,
Yeah,
just
okay.
Parsippany.
All right, got it.
Rockaway stays on. Oh, there's two,
Yes.
there's one resolution, there's two
There's
items
different-
covered by the resolution. One of the items covered is going to be pulled.
Yes, the
And that-
Parsippany one
And
will
that
be
is the
pulled.
PAL, this one is being pulled from the agenda. We put two items in one resolution. One of the items is being pulled.
So we're amending the resolution
Yes.
to pull, okay.
You're pulling the PAL resolution and keeping the resolution with respect to the Rockaway River watershed cabinet. Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Valori, did you hear that?
Yes, you're going to pull the PAL resolution?
Yes, and keep the Rockaway River
Okay,
watershed.
great.
cabinet.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Inglesino. In reference to the soil moving permits, I noticed that a number of them are under LLCs. Is there a way that the council can learn who the managing members are of the LLC prior to vote in the event there may be a conflict?
I don't know what is required to be submitted with the soil removal permit. I mean, are you talking about
Well-
the permit is usually in the name of a developer, typically who would have received approval from a board.
Correct. I saw it
Those
except for-
those applications before the board would have an ownership disclosure provision in them. So you could review, the application to see who the developer is that's pulling the permit. I don't know if it's possible to find that out with regard to the company that would be doing the work, but I presume that's not what you're interested in.
No, because I noticed there's three on here this evening. One is a corporation. The other one does not disclose the name, but we know it's Panera Bread, so I'm going to make a stretch that it's probably a corporation. But one of them is an LLC. An LLC is owned by managing members. So I'd like to know who the managing members are.
Well, it's owned by
Location.
members. There's one member who's a managing member who has management authority. but
One
the
managing
owners-
member and other members.
The owners are
percentage.
actually the members, and
Correct.
there can be one or more managing members. You'd have to actually go to the application for the entity, who got approved, to see who the owners are of the company.
Would that be provided to us in the future?
We'd have to ask the clerk to
Because we
to
went
provide
with
that for you.
5 council people to go down there to the permits and ask them each individually.
Yeah, I mean, that would be, if you would have the clerk coordinate that with the engineering department, and they could provide you with, that's not information that would come across my desk.
Okay. Can I separate Resolution 2014-130 for an individual vote?
So you want it non-consent?
Yeah.
Yes, because it's an LLC, and I'm not sure of the owners of that. Also, on Resolution 2014-135, TW Telecom, I did bring this up in discussion, but I noticed an additional review that it says that the town would incur fees accordingly, but there's no fee schedule attached. Mrs. Salmon, do you know anything about that for TW Telecom before we vote on it?
No, I don't have anything on. Let me just take a look on that one.
I don't want to pull it if we don't have to.
Yeah, all right, let me just check something.
And Mr. Inglesino, on Resolution 2014-136 for Living Waters Church, have you briefed the council on that? Because that was a settlement agreement? I don't recall.
6. That's the sewer, right?
That's the number.
There's the church.
Yeah.
I know what that is, yeah. I'm looking for 135.
I'm sorry?
Is there anything in that one?
Yeah, that's the easement. And again, this was on the consent agenda last week, but I'll address it now if you would like. There's a history here. There was a dispute with regard to water and sewer fees that the church owes to the township. Back in the early 70s, the town was, apparently there was some sort of an arrangement where the church would not pay sewer fees in exchange for giving an easement to the town for sewers. The town never charged the fees, but over time, there was no easement that was ever provided to the town. So 5 years ago or so, the church agreed to pay the flows on a going forward basis. Again, there was no payment made from the mid-'70s to the early 2000s or so. The fees that are owed are from when that settlement was made, from about 2006 or so until now, was about $1,500. We estimate the value of the easement to be about $21,000. So they are going to pay the flows going forward, okay? And the township is going to get the easement. And my office has prepared the easement and has coordinated that. So this is a resolution that would effectuate the settlement of that dispute, that would resolve in the easement would result in the easement in favor of the township that should have been provided to the township many, many years ago.
And the easement provides service?
For sure.
It provides service to adjacent neighbors as well, according to the resolution?
Well, yes. My understanding is it's already service. It's just we need the easement so that we can have the pipes there legitimately. Correct, Paula?
Yeah. What it is the sewer line stops at some point in front of the properties on Vale Road. The church and the resident next to them installed their own private sewer line years ago. Typically, a developer would grant the easement to the township. That did not happen years ago, and it needs to be corrected. So, in essence, that sewer line should be treated like a line in the main road. We need to get upon that property at any given time to fix it. That sewer line empties to the street, I think New Meadow Trail is the connecting part of that sewer main that runs through the two properties, the church and then the property adjacent to it.
Okay. And this is the property that's on Vale Road?
Right, yep. Yeah, these are two Vale Road properties.
And what was the total that was owed to the town in sewer and water fees that we're forgiving?
Actually, what it is there's no record of sewer fees. It's not a forgiving. It was an agreement that should have been enacted in 1973. It is now being enacted in today.
Okay. So it's something that fell through the cracks in various administrations throughout the years. It's been caught.
I
There's
can't
a settlement
speak to
agreement.
past practice. I can only speak to today, what we have done today to finally effectuate the proper agreement here.
The agreement was no fees if we get the easement. The agreement today is going to be, they're going to pay their flows going forward, and we're getting the easement.
Okay.
Okay, and that's been agreed to by both parties.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Consent agenda. Be it resolved, all items listed with an asterisk are
We were giving Ellen an opportunity for
okay.
Resolution 135.
Yeah.
Ellen, were you able to come up with the schedule?
It's you know what, it's really not clear. I think the better part of Val, there's Section 8 says fees for actual services, but the way it's written, it's not clear. And payment for the estimated time, review, analysis, and other costs, services rendered by the township in connection with its management of public right-of-way. Oh, wait a minute, here it is.
Sorry, can you speak into the mic?
Yeah, I will. I just, it's not a fee schedule. It just says $1,000 for submission of initial occupancy application as required by the township engineer. The cost is in the section 8. So
The contract?
In the contract,
Yeah,
yes.
because
So
we
it's
don't see that in the
1,000.
resolution,
Yeah.
but you see it in the contract.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what it is.
Okay, so.
$1,000.
So it's $1,000 in total that we would pay to TW Telecom?
I think they're paying us,
They're
right?
paying us?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's coming our way, yeah.
Of course, the resolution says fees. It's not clear as to it's coming to us, going to them.
It's a fee to us.
Should we clarify that resolution before we vote
Yeah,
on it?
I would be more comfortable with doing that, but I believe it is a fee to us, but.
Is there any harm in pulling that to vote on it for the next?
No, I don't believe there is.
Okay, could we pull that, Brian, then?
Make a motion, pull that.
Motion to pull Resolution 2014-135 for further reworking.
So it's being removed
Motion
to
made.
the next regular meeting?
You want it to the next regular meeting?
Yes.
Yes, if Mrs.
Yeah,
Salmon.
oh, yeah,
Together by then, yes.
that's no
I want to give her
Motion
ample
made
time.
by Mr. Paluso.
That's enough time.
Make a motion?
Seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call?
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Consent agenda. Be it resolved, all items listed with an asterisk are considered to be routine, non-controversial by the Township Council. Be approved by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda, considered in its normal sequence on the agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call?
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
We have to vote on that one that Rob wanted pulled and voted.
1:30.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna need to have a separate vote on R 2014-130.
I make a motion to approve 2014-130.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call?
Sorry. Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Abstain?
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso, it is appropriate going forward if you want, it's your choice. On a consent agenda, rather than to pull one, if you want to abstain on one, it's okay for you to say yes, but abstain on number X. on
Yeah,
the
yes,
resolution.
I
If you
did,
want, I just wanted to make you know that that's
Yes,
an option available to
No,
you.
thank you, I appreciate the input. I was contemplating the vote on that, but not knowing the owners, I really
No,
should.
you could, rather than pulling the resolution, an option for you on the consent agenda would have been, for example, to say yes to all except abstention on Resolution 135, if that was the number. That way you could effectuate your abstention without pulling it for
Yes,
separate votes, if you would like to.
Yeah, I was contemplating a yes or no vote, so,
Okay.
abstention was a secondary thought. Thank you.
Ordinances for introduction. Ordinance 2014:28. Mr. DePiero?
Ordinance 2014:28, an ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, authorizing the sale of leasehold rights in Block 420, Lot 1, and in the municipal right-of-way along Grange Road adjacent to Interstate 80. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 19, 2014, and that said ordinance be further considered for a second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 23rd, 2014, at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call?
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Ordinance 2014:29. Mr. Paluso?
An ordinance of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Morris County, New Jersey, amending Section 354-11 yard waste of the Code of Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on the first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 19th, 2014, and that the said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 23rd, 2014, at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached, at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Motion made by Mr. Paluso,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton,
Yes.
Mr. Valori,
Yes.
Mr. Karifi.
Yes. Ordinance 2014:30, Mr. Stanton.
An ordinance to the Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, accepting ownership on certain sanitary sewer facilities and an easement pertaining thereto on a portion of Block 712, Lot 11, shown on the official tax map of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Be it resolved, said ordinance be introduced, read by title, passed on first reading, meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, held August 19, 2014.
I'm not sure if I could disconnect it again here.
Okay.
No, we can hear you.
Can hear you.
Good.
Can you hear us?
Mr. Valori, can you hear us?
Hello? 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 Mr. Valori?
Now I can hear you. We got disconnected
Okay.
for a few seconds.
All right.
And that said ordinance be further considered for second reading, final passage at the meeting to be held September 23rd, 2014, 7:30 p.m. prevailing time or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal buildings at Township, which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized, directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. DePiero. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Ordinance 2014:31, Mr. DePiero.
An ordinance of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, accepting ownership of certain sanitary sewer facilities and an easement pertaining thereto on a portion of Block 712, Lot 12, as shown on the official tax map of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Be it resolved that the above ordinance be introduced, read by title, and passed on first reading at a meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills held on August 19, 2014, and that said ordinance be further considered for second reading and final passage at a meeting to be held on September 23, 2014, at 7:30 p.m. prevailing time, or as soon thereafter as the matter may be reached at the municipal building in said township, at which time all persons interested shall be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the clerk be authorized and directed to advertise said ordinance with the notice of introduction thereof being published in the official newspaper according to law. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton? Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Resolutions non-consent agenda, Mr. Stanton.
Council President, before you read that, can I make just a brief comment? I know I did in the other session, because you guys have been making a vote tonight on this. Is it okay?
Sure.
Oh, thanks, Council President.
I still can't hear you again.
I'll try my best, Lou. This is a short mic.
Can you hear him now?
Can you hear me now, Lou?
Yeah, just speak, if you could speak into it, because
All
you're
right.
kind of
Is
faded.
that better? We've had several discussions on the website. I guess what kind of
Yeah, unfortunately, I still
not
can't
upsets
hear
me,
you.
what really bothers me is we talked about this during the budget process. And it was never we did talk about it, and I explained to the council that I had 3 full-timers in my office, and now I'm down to 2 full-timers and a part-timer to have this website. So whatever the website costs, it's costing us a lot less because, in essence, that, I reduced my staff to have this because I saw the value behind it. Right now, we're going to be going into the 9th month. This is something that should have been entertained and should be entertained in the Finance Committee. And the reason why I say that is because we're going to be making a decision tonight to either keep them for now or not keep them. And then you're going to have other problems that are going to arise on our end, the township. You know, we're in hurricane season. We have a lot of issues that are going to have to be addressed and addressed immediately. And like I said before, they are the, like, all catch. Now, you know, I've heard some of the comments from some of the several residents, and although I don't agree, I appreciate their comments. It's a great service to the township. You saw how many hits that we get from it, and it's an all websites are always changing, and we're going to be changing with this one eventually. But I think it would be a disservice to the residents as of right now to remove it, and then we have to scramble. If you want to sit down, Council President and Councilman Valori, and we can really go through this line item by line item, what it costs and with all the things that we get, because in the council meeting, you don't really get to have that. And then we can make a decision either together or not, and move forward for next year. But you're in the 9th month right now. You're going to be heading into the 9th month. So whatever you guys decide to do, let's do what's right for the residents. Thank you. And thank you for the time, Council President.
So, Mayor, just let me ask you a question. You're saying we're in the 9th month, so...
I mean, we'll be going to the 9th month of
Okay,
this.
so what we're voting on tonight is basically for just the remainder of the 4 months that we have.
Right, so why go through all the mayhem, go through having to change it right now? Why go through all the stuff? And right now, I'm telling you right now, we're in the middle of a, not that we're having a hurricane, which God, I hope we don't, because we've seen many of them, but that's just my opinion. You guys will do what you feel you want to do, but I just think right now, that's something that we could discuss. And you might say, hey, you know what, Mayor, you're right, maybe we should keep this. And I might say to you, you know what, during our finance meeting, hey, listen, maybe there is something better.
So this is just for the next
So,
4 months.
but I mean, yeah, now we could do that within the next 4 months. But,
Mr. Valori, were you able to hear all that?
probably not.
Yeah, I was able to hear the last portion what the mayor was talking about. The very initial, I didn't hear. Just the last couple minutes, I heard his, his concerns.
So you did hear that this vote would be for the remaining 4 months of the year, and that this is something that the Finance Committee would discuss as far as when we start talking
Moving
about
forward.
the budget
For next year.
for next year.
Unfortunately, right now, I'm not hearing anything from anyone.
Can you?
I'm not hearing nothing now.
What the mayor was discussing was that the vote for the Alpha Dog contract would only pretty much be for the remainder of the year.
Yes, you're like really faded. You're like barely there.
Wow, I'm like right.
I'm not sure what's going on with this.
I'm right next to the speaker.
Do you want to hang up and call back again?
Do you want to hang up and call back?
It's a tough meeting.
Now I can hear you right now.
Okay.
Okay. Pretty much what the mayor was discussing was that the Alpha Dog contract, the resolution that's on tonight, would be for the remainder of the 4 months of the year, and that he's recommending that the Finance Committee would take up the issue for next year's budget to decide what to do with it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did
We heard it.
Did you hear that? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Just to clarify, we have a contract right now that brings them to the end of December 2014. We have a signed contract.
We have, you need a resolution to.
Yeah, we do, it's just
Author-
this
It's
resolution
to
for.
December.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
I'm
next
sorry,
week.
till
Yeah,
December, yeah.
It goes through December.
Okay. Because if the resolution doesn't state the dates on it, that it brings us to December.
I
End
thought
of
we
the
run
year
a month to month.
2014.
I thought
Don't
it
we
was
run
month to month right now.
month to month with
We're
that?
on month to month. We don't have anything.
We don't
to
have
do.
a December.
No, we don't.
That's because we have to go
voting on
month to
that
month.
now.
You're voting on that now.
But just one, to bring it as end of the year.
My point is, and I think Council President understands, is this. We have 4 months left in a year. Let's go to the Finance Committee with this. We'll sit down and talk. We'll give you the pros that we believe, and then we'll work, maybe we can do other things as well. I don't know. You're gonna have to decide what you want to do tonight, but that's what I'm asking for. I just think that right now, in the midst, we have a lot of information on there. We depend on that website. Whatever your vote is tonight, it's gonna change things drastically. You're gonna have residents that are gonna be getting flipped out, not gonna be able to pay their bills online, all those types of things.
Well, if it was voted to be approved tonight, we would still continue month to month, but we would have a contract at the end bringing us to
I think the
December
resolution,
2014.
is, we need the resolution for the contract.
Okay, so if it was voted down this evening, then it would still continue month to month until the end
No,
of the
no, no. If the resolution is voted down, you will not have a website.
Yep.
Yeah.
You will lose the website in Parsippany.
Okay, but
You would have no authority to continue to pay Alpha Dog any money whatsoever. You would go dark. There would be no website for the town.
You know, one thing I believe is that we did speak about this during the budget hearings. We discussed the concern of privatizing it, bringing it in-house. We discussed a various number of options. One option we did not discuss, which I will be presenting, is to bring back our Shared Services Committee. And I believe there could be an opportunity here for shared services with our Board of Education, who does have it in-house right now, who does have a webmaster that actually maintains it. Her name is Diane Chiller, and she is the webmaster for the Board of Education. With the new superintendent coming in, I think it would be a good idea to start shared services. Respectfully, Mayor, I agree with what you're saying, is that the Finance Committee should discuss the cost-benefit analysis, in my opinion. You know, I heard from one of the residents, and I agree. I think it's a good approach to do a cost-benefit analysis, to bring it in-house. I appreciate the work that was done by the resident, but we need an official certified copy in-house to see if it's worthwhile. And shared service is another option. I think the Finance Committee could meet right now and discuss this. If it's appropriate, I get support. I like to pull the resolution and let it go to the Finance Committee. Let them work on it based upon shared service with the Board of Education, and also work on it with a cost-benefit analysis, and then make a really prepared decision.
Okay, but before.
Again, you will lose the website if you pull the resolution. You will have no website in Parsippany.
Hey, can I,
If you're okay
can I
with that,
chime in
that's
here for a second?
your decision.
Mr. Valori, I think has a statement to make.
Go ahead, Mr. Valori.
Yeah, I'm just only concerned about, I thought when we discussed in the past, you know, we were all discussing the pros and cons, and we all have our views, and we're trying to do what's right for the town. But I thought when we had discussed this in the past, when we didn't approve it, they're month by month on a contract. So it wouldn't go, as per you said, I guess, dark, if we didn't vote on it right now. So I'm a little bit confused on that. You know, we don't want to deprive anybody from the town anything, but, you know, I do agree with Mr. DePaluso. If, you know, the Board of Ed is able to work with us, and if we're able to work with the committee to find out, you know, the pros and cons, you know, obviously there's 3 council members here that have a lot of concerns about it, but I thought this was going to be a month by month billing issue, and it just wouldn't go dark, from what you're saying.
You could. My suggestion is that if you want to keep the website operational, that you pass the resolution to enter into a month-to-month contract with Alpha Dog, not to exceed 4 months at this particular time. That way, you will ensure that the website service will continue uninterrupted for the township and others who utilize the website, and will give you an opportunity to work through the issues that you've discussed, so that you can come up with a more permanent, solution to the issue of how you want to operate the website. That would be a recommendation.
All right, John, so that would go until, what, is that 3 or 4 months, you said?
Well, it would be a month-to-month. It would be a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Alpha Dog on a month-to-month basis, not to exceed 4 months. I mean, if you come to a resolution within the next 2 months, then you could cancel the agreement for the remaining 2 months. But it gives you a 4-month window now within which you can agree on a more permanent, way to provide website service.
So we can continue for the 4 months, but we can introduce another ordinance if the Finance Committee does come up with a solution that's other than continuing the 4 months. We can cancel it in 2 months?
Well,
We can rescind it?
You're not rescinding it. Again, it would be a resolution that would authorize the mayor to enter into an agreement with Alpha Dog on a month-to-month basis. So once you begin a month, I mean, I'm just playing out with you what I envision, then you would stay with them for that month, up to 4 months. There would be no authority to continue the contractual relationship past December 31st, if that's where 4 months is, from now. But that you would have the ability to, because it's month to month, you could cancel the contract at any time during that 4-month period, if during that 4-month period you've decided on a different course to take with regard to website service. So this gives you a 4-month period within which you can come up with a more permanent resolution of how you want to provide website service.
Now, what my understanding is that we don't have a contract right now. We've been month to month without a resolution.
No, you have a, well, I think this is why it really needs to be addressed, because.
What makes this different right now?
Well, technically, you're out of time. There was a desire not to discontinue the service, and Alpha Dog wasn't able to get here in July. So we really need to take some action. I'm not comfortable, quite frankly, continuing to pay a vendor where there's no authority for the contract. I don't think that's a good situation for the township to be in. So again, in order to provide authority for the contractual relationship and the payment of monies for the website service, you need to pass the resolution tonight. You can modify it to say that it would be authorization again to enter into a month-to-month contract not to exceed 4 months, and use that period to figure out what you want to do. If you figure it out before 4 months is up, you can cancel the contract and embark upon your more permanent solution to the issue of website service. But I'm not comfortable, and I don't think anybody on the council would be or should be comfortable continuing with a contract where there's no authority from the governing body to pay the monies to the vendor. So that's why action really needs to be taken tonight.
Mrs. Sandman, do you have a copy of the contract that says what would happen after December 31st, I guess, 2013, because we've been on month to month now for 8 months? Does the contract indicate that it can be terminated?
Well, there was a contract, and I think the contract expired.
Yeah.
As I
Expired, yeah.
understand. It's not a
It should
month.
be.
13.
It's not a month to month. The contract's expired,
Yeah.
and so,
But there may be a clause in it that says.
There's
we're
not.
renewing it.
There's not that clause, there's not authorization, and because of the monies, you would start to come up into bidding issues as well. So I'm trying to keep you out of trouble in terms of bid thresholds, in terms of authorization, et cetera. So my strong recommendation is that you pass a resolution providing month-to-month authority not to exceed 4 months. That's the proper way to do it, in my opinion. And again, once you all agree on a more permanent solution, you would go in that direction, and you have a 4-month period to do it. Again, if you do it sooner, you can cancel the contract with Alpha Dog within that period.
If we've gone already 8 months, if we pull the resolution for the next council meeting, have the finance committee work on it, that's an additional month. Whether it's the 8 months or 9 months, we can come up with a solution. and just-
It's simple.
Mr. Puzo, I don't think you want to put.
You either want to vote on it tonight or not.
No, but I
I
don't
mean,
think
this
that
is
you're,
something-
I'm not comfortable, and I don't know that your CFO or anybody is going to be comfortable authorizing the payment of money to a vendor when there's no authority for the contract. And I would not recommend that you put the township in that position or any of the township employees in that position. If you don't want to vote for the resolution tonight, then there simply will not be authority to continue with the service, and you will lose the service, presumably, unless Alpha Dog wants to provide it for free. But even then, they wouldn't have authority to provide the service. And so that's why it's necessary, if you want to continue website service, it's necessary to pass the resolution tonight. Again, it doesn't have to be permanent, it doesn't have to be long-term, it just has to be as an interim measure so that you can all agree on a more permanent resolution of the issue.
But this is an example of a problem with them owning the content management system. It's proprietary to them, so they have the ability to take it down.
And that's an issue that is for consideration with regard to how you want to go in the future, whether it's Alpha Dog or some other way. But it's really not an issue that is relevant to the immediacy of the issue of continued website service to the township, as of right now and for that interim period up until you decide on a more permanent solution.
Okay.
When I read, so they had month-to-month basis up to 4 months?
Yeah, you can say month-to-month basis up to a maximum not to exceed 4 months.
One question real quick, Councilman Caluso. Who did you speak to at the Board of Ed?
I spoke with Scott Rixford. He's the new
Yeah, I know, I know.
superintendent coming in. We met him, you were there, I believe, at the library.
Yep.
And I had asked him about shared services. Also, Diane Chiller is the webmaster there.
Okay.
So there could be some savings by working with the Board of Education and forming a committee for shared
No,
services.
listen, I'll just give you my quick opinion on it. I think we could look into it, but content. They do things differently than we do it, but I'm willing to sit with them, so that's fine.
Or 2014-95, resolution, Township Council, Township Parsippany-Troy Hills, authorizing an agreement with Alpha Dog Solutions, Inc. for maintenance of the township website on a month-to-month basis for up to 4 months.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Paluso. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mr. Paluso,
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Before I vote, I just want to just state for the record again, I would just love to see our town with a little bit of a vision going forward and try to doing this service on our own and, working with the Board of Ed, with the shared service. And at the end of the day, I would like us to keep this in-house so we own the information, we perfect what we have, and an expense we don't have to worry about in the near future. So being on the Finance Committee, I do want to work diligently with the mayor and obviously the other colleagues, and we need to get this worked out before January 1st. So at this time, I'll vote yes, just for month to month, but we need to take care of this in-house. This is something that definitely could be done within our own agency.
Okay,
Thank
I set up a meeting for tomorrow.
Hold on, wait.
Come up from Wildwood.
We're gonna have to drive down there.
Yeah, drive down to Wildwood.
That works. All right. Mr. Karifi?
Yes. Okay, Mr. DePiero, 2014-140.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills consenting to the appointment of Ann M. Cucci as the Director of Finance, Treasurer, and Controller, and appointing Ann M. Cucci as the Chief Financial Officer of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Abstain.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Can I mean...
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations, welcome aboard. Your office is down the hallway, go ahead.
You can start tonight, the door's open.
Yeah.
Just for the record, if Ann could stand up and meet these are our lovely people we come to all the council meeting. Ann comes to us highly recommended. She's someone that I've known for a long time, and she's going to serve Parsippany well. We're excited to have you here, Ann. Thanks for...
Just want to give a round of
thanks for
applause.
saying
Welcome to Parsippany.
Okay.
But the door is open.
Okay. Mr. DePiero, R 2014-141.
141, resolution of the Township Parsippany-Troy Hills Township Council authorizing the award of a financial consulting agreement with Phoenix Advisors LLC. Motion to approve the above resolution.
Motion made by Mr. DePiero, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes. R 2014-142. Mr. Paluso.
Resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills authorizing the award of a consulting agreement for hearing officer services. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Paluso, seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Karifi?
Yes.
Mr. Council President?
Go ahead.
If I may, I appreciate it. I did want to bring to the council's attention some information that it may or may not be interested in light of Ms. Patachia's comments earlier. As the council may or may not know, Ms. Patachia had filed an ethics grievance against me. I don't think she's brought this to the public's attention. And back on April 3rd, she was issued a letter by the district ethics committee indicating that her complaint, even if all of the facts that she alleged were true, would not constitute unethical conduct or incapacity on my part. That opinion that was issued by the lawyer of the Ethics Committee was concurred with by the public member. I'll provide a copy of this to the clerk for the record. I happen to be copied on the correspondence provided to Ms. Patachia. I don't know whether she shared that with you individually, but she certainly has not shared that with the public.
Let's go. Okay. Closed session. Resolution, whereas the Open Publics Meeting Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances, and whereas the Township Council is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, and whereas the Township Council wishes to discuss attorney-client privilege and the following litigation matters: R.D. Realty versus Parsippany, James Carriffy versus Parsippany, Parsippany versus James Carriffy, and Daniel Bendis versus Parsippany. And whereas minutes will be kept, and once the matter involving the confidentiality of the above no longer requires confidentiality, the minutes can be made public. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Parsippany-Troy Hills that the public be excluded from this meeting. Motion to adjourn to closed session by myself.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Stanton. Roll call.
Mr. Council President, if we may, we've listed the matters.
Yes, yes, they're all in here.
Okay, and they're on, the actual cases that are going to be discussed are listed on the resolution. There's been some updates regarding the Open Public Meetings Act, so we're going to list the actual cases that are going to be discussed.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mr. Paluso?
Yes.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori? Oh,
He's coming with us. Bring the phone.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Yes, on me, the Lord. Yes.
All right, good night, Mr. Valori.
Have fun. Make the motion.
You good?
All right, we're on.
Make a motion to reconvene into open session?
Motion made by Mr. Stanton,
Second,
seconded by Mr. Valori. Roll call.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes. Entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Stanton, seconded by Mr.
Second.
Valori. Roll call.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Mr. Valori?
Yes.
Mr. Carriffy?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good night.
You're welcome.
Good night. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah, I wonder who won tonight.